Emily, I am very excited to talk with you.
I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. I just have to say from the start, your energy is contagious. So let's go ahead and you give your little introductory spiel.
Sure. That sounds amazing. Well, first of all, again, I'm thrilled to be here. I think it's fantastic. I am obviously a huge fan of Writer and just a huge fan of everything you guys are doing. And I'm excited to just have a conversation today. So let me tell you a little bit about what I'm up to at IBM. Right now, I'm the IBM Global Head of Venture Capital. And what does that mean, right? So we are tasked with owning all of our VC relationships, but mostly finding, evaluating, investing, growing early stage startups that are driving innovation and fueling IBM's strategy. This is really important because it helps provide us with critical insights in market trends. We recently launched a $500 million AI fund, and really this fund demonstrates IBM's commitment to responsibly deploying AI in early stage startups. What I love about IBM and IBM's venture fund is we're not like a traditional VC. We can buy to build, and we can help companies grow by incorporating their technologies into our ecosystem. And ecosystem is something I want to talk a lot about today. So I think that's a theme we're going to continue to touch upon. But I want to add one more thing here in my elevator pitch here, which is IBM offers more than capital. We believe in a capital plus model, which really emphasizes our thematic approach. And the reason I kind of harp on this is because there's a lot of capital out there in the market right now. And we can talk about what that means later on. But I always tell startups to take smart money because investment aligns interest. And that's really, really important because you want to look for a win-win situation. And what I mean by that is it's IBM as a strategic investor. We open doors globally for our clients and our partners to the companies we invest in. We do co-branding. We share our expertise. We go to market together, but we also add credibility to your cap tables, right? And I think this is really important to dig into is we do extensive due diligence so we know when we're making great investments. And then in turn, these portfolio companies provide us insights, innovation, trends, so much more, and also great talent.
Thank you. That was a very robust introduction.
It was. I'm a robust type of gal.
When I was doing my research on you and I was watching your past appearances on things, is that I can tell that you are someone who is passionate about what you do and that's palpable. And I really want to dive into like where that passion comes from. But the first question I ask every guest, other than introduce yourself, is like, what was the moment that you first interacted with AI?
I'm going to put a different spin on this question because I have been interacting with AI for as long as I can remember. I TA'd computer science in college. We will not talk about how long ago that was, but I TA'd computer science in college. But for me, there was a really pivotal moment in 2011 when IBM's Watson defeated Ken Jennings on Jeopardy. I am a huge Jeopardy fan. My husband and I watch all the time. We watched last night. He, of course, gets all the answers correct, and I'm yelling at him, go on Jeopardy. I also love Celebrity Jeopardy. So that goes without saying. I get a lot of those questions right, so that makes me feel good. But when Watson beat Ken Jennings, that was the moment I knew that AI was going to be transformative to the industry, right? And not just that IBM was going to continue to be a leader and not just in research, but in the capabilities we were able to offer to our clients. And I knew that I had to find a way to make that my career driven approach. I absolutely love AI. And I knew then it's like, I got to get in this. I got to start delivering to clients. I got to start building strategies. I got to really make this my life's mission.
So you were TAing computer science.
Yes.
And now you're in the investing side of things, and I want to hear a little bit more about the path that took you from essentially building to investing.
Yes, absolutely. So I have had an extraordinary career at IBM, and it has been over 15 years, though not quite 15 years. I don't want to age myself here, not quite 15 years, but we're getting on it this year. As I said, our global head of venture capital. Before that, I spent 3 years in our chairman and CEO's office as the exec in his office. And before that, I was our AI federal leader for IBM Consulting. And what that means is I developed our AI strategy. I delivered cutting edge solutions for our clients, enhanced our products. And if I go back even further, I spent a lot of time developing innovative solutions for our financial services clients. And the combination of my deep interest in the markets as well as my expertise in AI, I mean, this is the perfect role for me. It's also by far the coolest role in the company. And my boss and I always joke about that. It's just the best role. And as we are going to discuss, and I want to talk a little bit about IBM strategy, but it centers around providing that next generation of AI and how we're helping businesses reinvent the way that they do work. And I can give an example of that, right? Is I'm a big like by the numbers type of person. So I'll throw a few numbers at you throughout our talk, right? We are boosting developer productivity by 59% time savings on code documentation. We also, therefore, are reducing costs by 30%, right? We're helping clients be more productive and efficient, which is delivering cost savings, but we're not sacrificing capabilities, right? And I think this is something that we should talk more about is this efficiency, right? Because it's something that's in huge opportunity in the market right now. But that's been my very 30,000 foot level kind of how I got here over the last 15 years.
I mean, 15 years, IBM's an institution to begin with, but just establishing yourself for over a decade at the same company, it's just unheard of nowadays.
I spent a year teaching and I actually taught
Hmm.
history. I love history. I love politics. Obviously, I live in Washington, D.C. It's like, what better place to experience both, right? I spent a year teaching, but I knew one, that teachers should be paid the most money, way more than CEOs, right? Because it is the world's most difficult job. But I knew I wanted to get in the business side and I knew I wanted to drive solutions and I knew I wanted to help clients deliver the best solutions for their end users, right? And so it was during this time that, I taught for a year, but started in August, but by December, I was like, I want to be at a company like IBM. I want to be at a company that is revolutionizing the space. And then I worked really hard, right? I made great connections and we can talk more about that. Being a great leader is building great relationships. And we can dig into that, but I don't want to go anywhere else because IBM continuously gives me amazing opportunities to do what I love.
So, because you've been at this company, and first of all, I should acknowledge that most of our guests are people that are like, I started out doing this, and then this tangential path took me to where I am today. Whereas you like locked in on IBM.
Yes, I did.
And that's amazing. But it also means that you're like steeped in its culture and its history in a way that most people aren't. And one of the things we need to recognize, you talked about Watson, on Jeopardy. Let's talk about that history of IBM as a leader in AI research. It's been since the 1950s. IBM started AI research. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
I can. And I also want to talk a little bit about like the culture, right? Because when people meet me, I think are surprised they've been at IBM for so long. They think of it as like a really almost like refreshing approach to the culture. Let me answer your first question and then I'll dig into the culture if that's okay. So the first thing I would say is like, yes, we have an amazing history, right? And in an extraordinary kind of AI evolution. But what I think is so great is IBM has returned to growth and AI is a huge part of that. And if you look at our stock price over the last, I would say a few months, but even over the last month, it's just incredible what we've been able to do. And particularly since Arvind became CEO in 2020, IBM has aligned itself to the two most transformational technologies of our time, hybrid cloud and AI. And we've got these two incredible platforms, Watson X for AI and Red Hat OpenShift for hybrid cloud. And Red Hat came as part of our acquisition, right? And so the thing that I think has been so transformational for IBM's growth is we've been executing against a proven strategy, right? And that's huge. We've been refining our portfolio, which you're going to see with such a laser focused strategy, back on ecosystems, right? We've expanded our ecosystems of partners, which is huge because could IBM build everything? Yes, but it's better to stay hyper focused, build what we're great at, and partner with a huge ecosystem as opposed to trying to build everything yourself. And then just enhancing productivity, right, across IBM. And that's, I think, really important as we get into culture. But as I said before, like I'm a big buy the books and buy the numbers type of person. So let the results speak for themselves, right? In the sense that like our book of business related to Gen AI has grown since inception in July of 23 to over 5 billion. That's huge numbers. And this is huge momentum and traction with our clients, but there's tons of opportunity for growth. And that's why I'm so excited to be in the AI space. And I'm going to give you one of my most favorite stats I think is fascinating, right? 80% of enterprises are experimenting with Gen AI. So that means doing a pilot, doing a POC, but less than 10%, which is kind of crazy to think about, have a strategy to scale.
You just read my mind,
Did
Emily,
I?
because I was literally about to ask you about that. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I just saw you on that Bloomberg panel and I saw you bring that up and I'm like, we need to talk about this.
Yes. And it's incredible. And so it's like the other interesting thing I think is like we're in the early innings of AI, right? And there's so much growth opportunity, right? And so something that I'm really passionate about in, it's funny, at IBM you wear lots of hats, right? So you've got your kind of day job, you've got your kind of off hours job. And that is also sharing our story with our clients. We're client zero. We test our own solutions and our capabilities on ourselves. And we've been able to significantly grow our own profitability and our productivity, which I think is incredible. And it's like one of the key reasons I'm here. I'm actually in our San Francisco office right now. I'm meeting with startups, I'm meeting with other investors, and I'm also meeting with clients to kind of share this story, share our journey, and talk about what we're doing. It's just really exciting.
So let me circle back on this stat that you just shared about the 80% of companies are in some kind of POC stage right now.
Yes.
There's only 10% that have a strategy, or less than 10% that have an actual strategy to bring AI to the enterprise. What is keeping over 90% from developing the strategy? What are you seeing? Where are the hurdles?
I think one of the biggest hurdles that I'm seeing is around privacy, security, IP concerns, right? This is a trend I've seen probably over the last, I would say 6 to 12 months. People are very concerned about this. The reason I bring this up is one of the other reasons IBM's key strategy, right, which is hybrid cloud. It's causing people to come up with these alternative solutions as they start to bring AI into the fold, right? What about having an on-prem solution?
Mm-hmm.
What about having an on-cloud solution? How are you combining this? Which apps are living where? Which workloads are living where, right? How are you protecting people's data and their privacy? Like we work with a ton of big banks. They've got to have hybrid cloud solutions. I see this as one of our key big barriers. I think another big barrier, which I want to talk about, is consumption and the cost of energy. And then, of course, we're always going to have a talent issue, particularly as we bring new emerging technologies in. And I would say if we talk about IBM's strategy as AI, as hybrid cloud, as its main two ones, I'd add a third, which is quantum, right? That's where the future is going. And we've got to make sure that we've got great talent to get after quantum. IBM's got great talent, but our clients need great talent. The industry needs great talent. And so that's another issue that we're going to potentially see.
Okay, so you just opened up 3 rabbit holes for us to dive into.
Okay.
Okay, so we have working backwards quantum, and then we have
Consumption.
the consumption. Okay, I want to dive into the consumption first. So talk to me a little bit more about that.
I want to talk about the liquidity of the market first, right? And because I want to pull a little bit back to like my current job, right, which is investing.
Mm-hmm.
And so corporate venture in general, it's having kind of a moment, right? CVC backed funding was up 20% year over year. So that's 2023 to 2024. 37% of that invest was in AI. The majority right here in the US. One, you shouldn't be surprised that it was in the US. And two, you shouldn't be surprised it was AI, right? We're going to continue to see those trends in 2024. And I do think you're going to see more investing in 2025 as well, right? But in 2025, what we have to is we've got to return cash back to the investor. And so there are a lot of portfolio companies out there that are ready for an exit, whether that be an M&A, whether that be IPO, and strategic investors, corporates like myself, right? We're ready for when those windows open and exits are going to happen, right? Already this year, I have seen organic and inorganic acquisition conversations, which is really exciting. But now that we've established that there's a lot of capital out there and we're excited to invest in quantum, we're excited to invest in agentic, we're excited to invest in AI for security. If we take quantum first, quantum advantage is around the corner. And at IBM, right, I'm specifically interested in investing in quantum software that's going to build on IBM hardware. Agentic, I'm excited about where it is going, but I think there's going to be a big question about what's the appetite for the enterprise as kind of keeping the human in the loop, right? This is going to be a potential concern we talked about before. AI security, I love because it's got this willingness to lean in, and they're always willing to test out the latest capabilities. They're kind of a test bed for other functions. And we're seeing AI startups using agents to target human capital functions. We're kind of seeing this being called service as a software, right? And AI security operation centers, they're automating 95% of incident triage and responses with fully automated agents, which is just, think about that for a second, right? It's pretty incredible. But I think this is a trend we're going to continue to see as going after other functions. At IBM, right, we're using digital agents to automate our HR function, thinking about back as when I was talking before about client zero, right? And we've received incredible feedback from clients, right? Which is really, really awesome. But I think as we think about kind of getting after consumption, we've got to think about this debate that's been going on over the last few years around open and closed, large versus small models. And for several years, IBM has been championing this open, efficient, fit for purpose model. And over the last few weeks, really what the conversation around DeepSeek, right? If we're going to bring up that kind of elephant in the room, which I know everyone wants to talk about.
Please do.
Yes. It's really validated our model. It validated our strategy that you don't need large proprietary systems. That's not a requirement for AI. Smaller open source models are really how the future is going to be built. And it's becoming an opportunity. And some people think of it as a challenge. I think it's an opportunity for engineering. And the best engineers are going to optimize performance and cost. So this fit for purpose models, right, smaller versus large, can deliver exceptional business value. And this is the conversation around consumption and the cost associated with it. And when you use open, it's just really the key driver for AI innovation. Open models are more accessible, they're transparent, they're customizable, they're cost efficient. And I know I keep harping on being efficient. I'm going to continue to harp on that because I think it's a huge theme. But at IBM, when we're using this strategy, this fit for purpose model strategy, we've seen 30% reduction in AI inferencing costs, which is pretty amazing because it's making training more efficient, more accessible. And the reason I kind of wanted to circle around to this is a very long-winded, I would say, way to talk about it is because AI does not demand huge data centers. There's no scientific proof that dictates that AI must be expensive or that training inferencing costs are fixed. These are opportunities for engineering to solve, for startups and for companies to push down these costs, make AI more practical, more widespread, and for technology to be as transformative as everyone wants AI to be, because everyone knows that they want it to be. It's got to be affordable. It's got to be accessible. And I think that's a really important message, is that we've got to embrace open. We've got to embrace this efficient AI models. And we can kind of tap into cost savings. And that if we do that, we're going to unlock the entire full potential of AI. There's going to be heavy investing. Corporates are having their moment. You are seeing a shift in the way that AI is being built, and you're going to see investment into those areas because we have learned that a lot of companies can really help us drive down these costs. And that cost ultimately is one of the key barriers to entry. And why, let's go back full circle to our 80-10 stat, why so many are having, how do I scale this? Can I afford to scale this?
You have connected so many dots. And honestly, you're singing the same song that our CTO has been singing about model efficiency, about it should not be billions of dollars to develop a model. It makes it prohibitive for enterprise use to have that kind of price tag on it. And now the conversation has also been around defining whether or not an organization is a research lab versus a product innovator.
Yes.
Do you have any thoughts or, gut responses to that?
I always have thoughts. I always have thoughts. And look, like, my husband works for a nonprofit, so we're always debating this. But research labs, they're going to get questions from investors is how are they going to turn a profit? How are they driving revenue? Who are their clients, right? The same way startups are. I was just talking to an amazing lab in Japan that I'm fascinated by for a variety of different reasons, right? Because there's another kind of interesting debate going on, which is, do you invest in localized models? But it's like, it comes down to revenue. How are you driving revenue? So it's whether you're a startup or you're a research lab or what's your pipeline look like, right? And how are you driving revenue? I think we've got to answer those questions.
I feel like the industry is having a little bit of an identity crisis in terms of AI.
It totally is. Look, we can also talk about the AI bubble,
Hmm.
whether we think that there is an AI bubble. And the advice I give people is, look, I've read all the same stuff you guys have read. And my perspective is, and a lot of it comes back to due diligence and doing your due diligence. And if you are making smart investments and you are doing your due diligence and you're really having the important strategic, financial, technical conversations with these companies, and you're thoughtful to make sure it aligns with your strategy, you're not going to make a bad investment, right? It's when you rush into something and you just hastily throw money. This is when I talk about taking smart money, right? It's got to be a win-win on both sides. That's when it's like you're not necessarily going to make a good investment.
Not giving it to shiny objects. Yeah.
100%, right? And it's like, I love these debates because everyone's got a perspective. As we learn more, as more things come out, our thinking evolves. And I love that. Like, I love us being able to have these debates and thinking about it from both sides and then really shaping our opinions as new research comes out and as new evidence comes out and all of that type of stuff.
We talked about the 90% not having an AI strategy. How does change management play into all of this?
Oh, yes. Okay, good. This is what I really wanted to talk about because I want to talk about culture.
Hmm.
And the reason I want to talk about culture is because the culture of an organization is incredibly important as you drive forward, particularly kind of in the era of AI, right? So the past few years, we've been laser focused on simplifying speed and productivity. And I gave you a little bit of glimpse into productivity earlier, but it's getting rid of inefficiencies that are slowing us down. And this is incredibly important and can be hard to do when you've got a huge organization like an IBM. But behaviors defines culture and culture really defines outcomes. And so IBM's got this amazing portfolio. We've got expertise. We've built really trusting relationships. And that is something I want to harp on because for me, it all comes down to relationships. And there are two really, really important qualities that you need, and that's being collaborative and it's listening, right? And collaboration enables curiosity, it inspires innovation, and it helps enhance relevant skills, right? Which is incredibly important. And as leaders, we have to encourage and support and recognize our teams, particularly in an era of AI. But we also need to listen. And I don't think that we do enough listening. What are people's motives? What are they concerned about? What are their needs? And when we do this and we build these meaningful relationships, we cultivate high performing teams. We inspire our teams and individuals to achieve delivery excellence, drive growth. And that's how you create a culture that's going to be successful, particularly when you've got massive change, when you're implementing new technologies and they're very fast moving in the era of AI. You need all of those things to create that successful culture and drive those outcomes.
When you're hearing about your clients or whatever firms you're investing in, they're equipping their teams with these AI tools.
Yes.
What are the stories that are coming from that? What are the use cases that are lighting you up? You're like, ah, I never would have thought about that.
Look, I love to hear the stories. I think for me, I love to hear people who are getting one, cost savings, right? Obviously, I'm huge into cost savings, right? I'm huge into productivity. I'm really excited by people who are, and this is going to be a really silly one, but at IBM, we completely automated our entire HR system. And as a manager, I get a lot of people who are asking me for like a mortgage letter.
Hmm.
Oh, I need to like rent a new apartment. I'm buying a house. I'm
Yep.
getting a car loan, right?
Just did it.
Yes, exactly, right? And for me, it's like, no, it used to take a very long time because it's like you got to email HR, you got to, now we can do it so quickly, right? Because they just talk to the chatbot. The chatbot then, like, we just think, oh, ask HR. It then writes the letter, It asks you where it wants to get sent to, and it just goes off in a matter of minutes. We've cut out all this time. And what excites me about that and why I kind of cite that as an example, right? Because it's not like the most exciting or the coolest one, but what it does is it's a huge time save, right? It gets people focused on tasks that are more exciting for them. They want to drive towards. It gets our people working on higher value tasks. And it's like those kind of routine human tasks, being able to move those over to a digital agent is huge. And it gets us in the office, collaborating more, thinking up solutions, solving problems, the things we should be working on instead of working on these kind of manual tasks that can be done. And that to me is so exciting. And that's what we're doing.
Yeah, that's a dimension that honestly, like, I work for an AI company. We talk about freeing people's time up to get more
Yes.
creative and strategic, but usually it's like the person who's doing the job of writing that mortgage letter. But honestly, it's also freeing up that person who's looking for the right person to ask for the mortgage letter.
And pinging your manager because they've got to send it, right? All these tasks.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you're worried about, oh gosh, am I being annoying like to my manager if I have to remind them again, right?
Yes.
It's these type of things that really excite me.
It's getting rid of the hoops that you have to go through.
The hoops, right? I love that. And I think the other really important thing that this kind of Ask HR, just these kind of automated tasks do, it helps us flag when are employees' birthdays? How long have they been and been at the company, right? I just had an employee, someone on my team who'd spent 5 years at IBM. And that's a long
It
time,
is.
right? Particularly for someone who's starting out early in their career. I love when we're able to recognize people. And these kind of amazing systems helps remind us of that. It's great. It's fantastic. So I love all of the efficiencies that it's helping us, but also the ability to help us recognize. And it's like, look, we use AI in our everyday life, whether it's looking at the Wall Street Journal and having created articles for you, or like telling me what to watch on Netflix or what to listen to on Spotify, right? I'll tell you a funny story if you've got 2 minutes, which is around fantasy football.
Bring it on.
So my family for the first time played fantasy football, all of us. And this was like high stakes fantasy football because the winner got to choose a family vacation, which we're going on in April. And we're all going to Italy. I did not win, let me put it that way. But IBM actually partnered with the ESPN fantasy football, and we created insights into that platform, which is really, really cool. And so for me, I totally utilize this in my fantasy football league this year. There's two really key things, right? There's a trade analyzer, which next year when I'm maybe a little bit more sophisticated with fantasy football, I'll utilize this. But one of them is player insights, which helps you kind of manage this upside, downside of matchups, this boom versus bust, this who's injured, who's not. It helps you set your lineup. And I made it all the way to playoffs. I lost my husband because he like reads every article and knows everything. But it's that type of use cases where it's like there are so many fun aspects of utilizing AI to get insight driven to help you make an informed decision. I think that's really cool as well. Is when we think about these exciting use cases, it's all about how do we drive to better decision making and how do we comb through so much data, particularly unstructured data, to make the best informed decision. And then using our experience, our expertise to say, okay, this is what happened in the past. This is what I'm being told as input. Combine that together and then getting out there and trying to figure out what the path forward is. It's a little fun, like personal story. We'll see if we play again this year. I'm gonna win this year.
Who won and who picked Italy?
My husband won.
Ah,
I know. And my brother did not make it to playoffs. He was very upset, which is kind of shocking because he won his other league. And we're going to Italy in April.
I mean, there's no losers in that situation.
Yes, exactly. Either way, we all won. Though I was really going for Vienna, Budapest, and Prague.
Oh, yeah. I would love to go to Prague someday.
Either way, like we were all gonna win. So yes.
I do want to ask you if there's anything that we haven't discussed that you wanted to touch on. I know there's a lot that you wanted to talk about.
Can I give a little bit of advice?
I would love to hear some advice. Yes.
So I'll give advice to clients and I'll give advice to investors. And it's similar because you're ultimately picking a solution. I think the best advice I can give is you're betting on teams. So find people that you trust. I think the other interesting thing is make sure you do, I'm going to go back to due diligence, of course, make sure you do your due diligence. And by that, I mean, everyone says they're an AI company now. I looked at over 650 companies last year, and almost every single one of them told me they were an AI company. I would say 50% were, or maybe a little bit less. And the advice I would give is, are they giving you a live demo? Or is it pre-recorded and hard-coded? Are they allowing you to change inputs when they're giving you that live demo? And that's actually spitting out different results. Are they giving a step further and letting you actually play around in a sandbox and put your own data in there? That's how you test out how real it is. And doing your due diligence, whether you're on the buy side or the sell side, it's really, really important. And that's the advice I would give anyone who's kind of experimenting or deciding upon what their solution is for their end users or making investments. Hopefully that's helpful.
No, it's just hard facts right there. Love it.
Yes, it's hard facts. It is. Yes. So, gosh, I don't know. I feel like we could talk forever.
I know. I like talking with you. So, one last question. After having this conversation, if there's like a story arc
Oh gosh.
or basically just, the theme of this conversation, what would you label it as?
Look, I've been in the AI business for a long time, and AI has been a part of my life for more than I would say a third of my life. But I think there's so much more than that in the sense of I think AI helps us be more effective, be more efficient, make better decisions. And it's when we are passionate about something, when we're excited about something, it's really cool and exciting. And it's find your passion, find what excites you, find what you want to do. Life's too short to do something that you don't want to do or something you're not passionate about. So maybe that's kind of the theme is being passionate about what you do. I don't know. I got you might have a better idea than I do.
I'll take your passion and run with it.
Okay.
Your passion is contagious, and I really have enjoyed this conversation so much. So thank you for joining.
Me too. Thank you for having us.